Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Speak Like a Leader. Today, I want to help you with your small talk conversations. I have so many of you telling me that you do find this very difficult. It's these conversations that you have to have usually with people that you don't know very well. This can happen either in the office kitchen when you go to prep your coffee in the morning and you find someone there and you have to talk to them for a couple of minutes. It can also happen in a business meeting before you start when you're waiting for everyone to arrive and you have to engage in some conversations with people from other departments or maybe even customers. It can also happen when you're going out, when you're taking clients for dinner and you don't know them very well. You have to ask questions to show that you're interested in them, and it seems a little bit awkward. So how do you deal with these situations? So if you're an extrovert, if you're a person who loves to socialize, to be around people, then it's probably easier for you confronting these situations. I'm an extrovert. I'll always have questions to ask you. I'll always be creative in my responses. And of course, English helps me and allows me to express my feelings, my emotions, and get the results I want to get. But what if you're an introvert? What if you're a person who doesn't really like socializing with others? Or if you feel that English isn't helping you engage in the way that you would like to? Lots of my students are telling me I have two problems. I don't know what to say, and I don't know how to say it. So why don't I help you a little bit in these two areas? What should you ask? Now, in order to remember the different topics that could be interesting for you to ask, because asking questions shows that you are genuinely interested in learning more about them, you can think about a method that I like to call the F.O.R.D method, F-O-R-D. And that stands for basically four very interesting topics that you can discuss. F stands for family. O stands for occupation, R for recreation, and D for dreams. So these four topics, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, can be the starters for very interesting conversations. Very easy questions are around their family. So you could ask a question about their family. So have they seen their family, or have they been away on travel a lot? Occupation, how has your job been so far, or have you found difficulties introducing this project? Recreation, what do you like to do in your free time? Are there any hobbies? Are there any sports that you really enjoy? And dreams, the last D, is something actually quite inspiring for many people, where you ask them what they would like ideally out of their life. For instance, if you could travel anywhere in the world this holiday, where would you go? Or if you could bring any changes you could to your position or to this project, what changes would you bring? Okay, so this F.O.R.D method is a very easy way to remember the different kind of categories, the different kind of topics you could introduce in a conversation. Now, when I introduce the F.O.R.D method to my students, some of them tell me, okay, I understand I should be talking about family, occupation, recreation, dreams. But sometimes I don't really have something really interesting to talk about, because if I ask them about their interests and hobbies, then afterwards they might ask me about my interests and hobbies, or what I did during the weekend, and I didn't really do anything interesting. Maybe I was just cleaning the house or doing something boring. Now, what I want to stress here is that you don't have to be this super adventurous kind of person in order to engage in small talk. People are not waiting for amazing adventures and amazing situations like parties and events and happenings. No, what they're expecting is a genuine connection. So as long as you're honest, you can think about key moments in your day and relate them. For instance, even if you just spent the weekend cleaning your house, you could talk about a small key moment. So if somebody asked me, what did you do during the weekend? I could say something like, well, to be honest, I'd probably enjoy doing something else, but I had to clean my house. Funny point, at some point in the middle of the day, the washing machine broke down. Of course, it's Murphy's Law, isn't it? Whenever you need something to get done, it usually breaks down. So I had to call my neighbor and I had to take all my clothes over to her house. So it kind of turned into a little adventure. Okay, small, let's say, storyline, a key moment that can become engaging, and the other person may also think that, okay, it's not just me doing nothing the weekend, there are other people who maybe are not living these amazing lives, full of parties and events. Okay, share key moments, be honest, be engaging, be natural. Now, let's move on to the how part of small talk. So you have the topics in mind, but the question is, how do I ask them in order to sound natural and genuinely interested? A very, very good trick is to ask open-ended questions. What are open-ended questions? It's basically the questions that don't have a yes or no answer to them. Now, listen to this. If you ask someone, did you enjoy this business meeting or this project? Then the answer is going to be a yes or a no, and the conversation is going to drop very easily unless they continue the conversation. But if you ask them, what have been your thoughts on this project or on this meeting, then the other person is going to go into more descriptive mode and express their ideas, their thoughts, their opinions. Okay, so very important, ask open-ended questions. Point number 3, be genuinely curious. Be interested in the information the other person is putting out there. If somebody has contributed a fact like, I travel a lot for my work, don't let that conversation end there. Go deeper. Ask a follow-up question. So, what was the most interesting place you've ever visited with work? This way, contribute to engaging in a conversation, going deeper, and moving into other directions as well, probably. Number 4, find some common ground. Now, when I'm teaching English, let me give you an example. Sometimes my students might be introverts, or sometimes they might not immediately feel comfortable sharing, personal details. So what you can do is try to find some common ground. Ask them questions about their hobbies, about their interests, and, the possibility is very high that you might find things in common. I found in common with a student that we both love massages, for example. And that was an element that, created a kind of a bond in an interest that we share. And we started talking about that. Once we started talking about that, everything else came into place. So it was much easier introducing other kind of ideas and other kind of questions. Number 5, always stay positive and upbeat. Even if the other person starts spiraling down into negative kind of conversation, try to keep the vibe positive. Even if they try to enter into political conversations or bad things happening in the world or sounding negative in a business meeting that everything is wrong, I don't agree with anything, always try to find a positive idea to contribute to the conversation. You can agree with them, so you can acknowledge their feelings. So if I say something like, oh my God, this meeting is so boring, I'm tired, I just want to leave, finish my work, you could say something like, I really understand how you're feeling right now. Sometimes meetings can take up so much of our time. How about thinking about the weekend? What interesting things are you going to do during the weekend? Okay, so try to shift the perspective from a negative to a more positive conversation. So my main point here, what I want to communicate is that you need to be yourself. You don't have to be super interesting. You don't have to be very articulate. You don't have to be any of those things. Even if you make a few little grammar mistakes here or there, if you feel relatable, if the other person sees a genuine answer, a genuine reaction, a positive reaction, then the chances are very high that you will engage in a very meaningful conversation and maybe even create a meaningful bond. If you do decide to use storytelling as part of your small talk, then engage in sensory vocabulary, as we say it. So always make your statements feel emotional so that your counterpart can connect to those emotions. For example, if I want to talk about a situation where there was a lot of traffic this morning and it was difficult for me to arrive to the meeting, put some emotion in it. So instead of just stating the facts, actually create a story and characters in your story. Okay, so what you could say is, so I woke up this morning, I had to get to this meeting as early as possible, but I hit the morning traffic. I felt ridiculously upset because I knew that I was going to be late for this. And this is a really important meeting. It's the first time actually to come and meet you, my new customers. So everything, was going through my mind. I was spiraling. And thankfully, just 5 minutes later, the road opened up and I was finally able to arrive on time. Okay, so you're describing a story with a character, engaging this character in a real situation with real emotions. And last but not least, be polite and be generous. This is a great icebreaker. If you're in a business meeting, for example, with some of your clients or with people from another department and the meeting hasn't started, you could say something like, I'm just going to grab a quick coffee. Can I get something for anyone? So you're being very generous there and you're asking people with a nice icebreaker if you can bring them a cup of coffee, if they would like some water, if there's anything they need to feel more comfortable. Is the sun in their eyes? Do we need to close a little bit the blinds? Okay, any kind of situation where you are overly polite, generous, makes them feel that you are considerate, you're empathetic, and you're a person who they can easily come up to and talk to. I hope that these tips will help you in your next small talk conversation. Try not to stir away from it because you're afraid that maybe you'll make a mistake or people won't want to talk to you. Engage with people. Usually people don't bite. Just go up to them, start chatting with them about something, ask open-ended questions so you get the conversation going and everything is going to be absolutely fine. Now, in the description of this video, I am going to put down these notes that I just mentioned, the different tips, the F.O.R.D method, so you can review it if you like and you can practice some of these points. Also, if you want to engage in an active conversation or take a business English lesson, feel free to visit my website and we can talk together. We can see how we can make this happen in a more natural and confident way. Okay, thank you for watching and I'll see you in our next lesson.